Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching Business Morning on Channels Television, and our conversation has been on increasing internally generated revenue in Nigeria, particularly now that we are seeing the oil price in the international market drop so rapidly. And I have here a development economist, Odilim Enwegbara. Thank you very much, Mr. Enwegbara, for sticking on.
Thank you.
Yeah, just before we went on break, you were talking about printing more money. I think the Minister of Finance has tried to actually explain why Nigeria cannot go printing more money, considering also the money that is involved in printing that more money.
Now, let me tell you, the problem that we print overseas, just like we import petroleum products overseas, it's ridiculous, because you cannot print your currency overseas and you call yourself a sovereign nation. What if somebody somewhere prints half of what you print and find one way or another to bring it to the country? So that's why we must do. America spends a lot of money to put in place is the security for printing dollars. We can do it. How much, whatever it will cost us, because it's an investment that will be in continuum. So why shouldn't we do that? So that's not what is important to me. What is important to me is that today, Nigeria has borrowed domestically at 12.18%. And we could have borrowed this money externally and would have paid between 2.5% and 3%. And if we have done so, do you know how much we are paying this year? We are paying this year on servicing our debt. It is 943 billion. Even almost half the amount we are spending on capital spending, portion of the economy. It's ridiculous. We can pay up that debt by, we're owing about 10 trillion naira.
So you're saying
we print. Yes, we have to print. Look,
print the money and then you pay off.
You know what I'm telling you? What I'm telling you, what so many people we are afraid to talk about. I've got into economics to say what I think is right. And if you dispute me, we'll go and discuss it. In 1931, when a dropout who never studied economics, called Meren Eccles, suggested, do you know that Keynes' theory, we are all a product of Meren Eccles' write-ups, and that's why he was hired. If we print, because in 1865, after the American Civil War, Abraham Lincoln printed $420 million to pay off its national debt, instead of giving the Rothschilds family gold. Before the Second World War, Adolf Hitler printed money to pay its domestic currency. Why do you call it domestic? Because when you run into difficulty, you pay. How do we pay this? Do you know how much our domestic debt is today? About 10 trillion. Where do we get the money? Is the economy growing in a way to pay the debt? No. So what do? Is you print the money and pay the debt. And then you shift to the ratio. Today we have $960 billion as domestic debt, against 9.5 billion as our foreign debt. We are supposed to reverse it. This country is underborrowed and is creating what? So if we print and pay this thing, we save a lot of money. I'm telling you, we save a lot of. This thing I'm telling you, anybody who will dispute it, let the person appear in your program. We discuss it.
I think we just have
we are going to dispute it. We are going
have
to,
a further
going to discuss it.
Discussion on that.
So when we pay off that debt, we save this year alone. Had it been we borrowed externally at 3%, instead of borrowing domestically at 12.18%, we would have saved this year alone. This year alone, we would have saved about 598.15 trillion. That's what we would have saved this year. But you know why we borrow externally, domestically? Because it is a group of people are exploiting Nigeria. Because who are the owners of this domestic money? The money came from overseas. People go, Britain, America, they borrow at 3%, they bring it to Nigeria and then give it to our banks and they loan it to the government at 12.this%, and they make all the money. So why should we allow ourselves to be? And why the government does not want to pay off this debt? Because so many people are gaining from this. I'm telling you, although I don't want to mention them, but as somebody who loves his country must close all these leakages and all these wastages. So what I'm trying to say, in essence, that we must pay all this debt, because if not, we become slaves of debtors, of creditors, sorry. And who are these creditors? Can you imagine that in 2009, 2008, our banks were almost bankrupt? Where did they get the money overnight to have lent us within 4 years? Do you know how much Nigeria has paid to service its debt between 2011 and this year? 3.7 trillion. 3.7 trillion. Just imagine what 3.7 trillion would have end this country. So at the end of the day, this economy is grossly mismanaged. And the problem is that people like me have not come to say the truth. And I'm going to continue saying the truth. Let them dispute me. We come to this program, I'll come with my facts and figures, and I will even write enough so that Nigerians will read. We must stop this. Now, coming to leakages. The Orosanya report must be implemented. Because it's only in countries like Nigeria that people have official cars and they use it to go wedding and use it to go church. No. In America, there's nothing like official car. They have some buses for ministries. Individuals must own their cars and things like that. You cannot, you see directors and everybody riding, if you are flying anywhere in the world, unless it's approved, you're on your own. And also, we need what I call forensic personnel auditing, so that we know actually what is the number, who are really being employed by government. Because this, we have found some ghost workers there. It's not enough. We must hire world-class auditing companies to come and tell us actually how many people does federal government employ and why. And also let us know how much these people earn, and let us know some of them that are already dead, we throw them out. Because government must be run as a. In fact, another thing I'm suggesting is that when next parliament meets, we must make all oil revenues to be for capital spending. Internal generated revenue must be for recurrent. So if you don't make it recurrent, you are on your own. That must be a law. You can never use our people's money to subsidize people that are lazy who are working there. If you want to work, you must earn your so all this must be done. And I will tell you, my sister, Nigeria is one of the richest countries in the world, but it is mismanagement. But this mismanagement, thank God that there are now two parties. They will not fight each other. I want the two parties to come up with the PDP, APC must come up with the shadow ministers to show us, since PDP, but I think PDP is doing very well because they have come, they've come a long way, Now, if they say PDP cannot manage this economy, they show us who have they lined up to manage the economy. Well, so that eventually Nigeria will say, okay, given the antecedent of these people you are bringing on board, we think that we hire you to run the economy for the next 4 years.
Well, just before, before we go into details of those ones you're talking about, let's look at, you did mention other sources of revenue. You talked about tax.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and then the issue of tax, waivers and exemptions. I mean, I know some people would say, okay, the tax waivers, we would have just curtailed it, but then it's still important so we can actually encourage people to invest or probably even create more employment.
Let me tell you, my sister, a businessman is not into business to lose money. He's not emotional. He studies his facts and figures before he goes into business. We are not supposed to give any businessman waivers. Because if we give waivers, the wrong people will come. And then we abuse it. Do you understand what I'm saying? The only thing you do is that you give tax holiday. If you are manufacturing in Nigeria doing this, because of the high cost you have incurred, you are not going to pay taxes at so period. But giving people waiver. Do you know Nigeria is losing trillions of naira on waivers? Because people import rice. And this is rice that is almost expiring in Thailand, is about expiring. They bag it and bring it to the country, and again waiver. And when you give waiver, you tilt the playing field, because businesses survive because they compete on a level playing field. But if you, because I'm a friend of PDP, I'm a friend of government, I'm this, you give me waiver. There's some people that enjoy waiver that, my sister, if you hear the waiver that is going on in this country, you will cry for this country. You ask, who, but who does that? It's the Ministry of Finance. You will just write in a very sheet of paper, I have granted waiver to so and so, please, I comply. And the customs will comply without any explanation. What is the benefit of the country? Because the country is a commonwealth. It's not a private wealth. So that's why I'm saying that there must be a restructuring. But also the parties must show us who are going to run their economy in the next 4 years on their behalf. It's no longer enough, let's win an election. Or let the debate be between the PDP people that will run the economy and the APC people that will run the economy. Let them come and debate and tell us how they will solve power problem, how they will solve build roads, how they will deal with agriculture. Nigerians will hear and say, okay, we are employing you. Because Buhari was able to put together, because that's what Roosevelt did in 1933. Roosevelt, when he was able to resolve American economy, Americans were thanking him. He said, no, because I'm not an economist, but I was able to hire the best common sense men to solve this problem.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Enwegbara. Quite an interesting conversation, and I'm quite interested in that the printing more money thing. I think we'll still have to discuss that further.
Bring me back and bring anybody who will dispute it. Bring me back and bring anybody who will dispute it. Let's discuss it.
All right,
now,
thank you.
I'm 100% sure. And let me tell you, I'm not trying to brag. I'm trying to help my nation. Ordinarily, I would have kept quiet.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Enwegbara.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I've been speaking with Mr. Odilim Enwegbara. He is a development economist, and we've been looking for, at various ways government can actually increase its internally generated revenue, particularly now that oil price in the international market is dwindling. Well, it's in that note that we say thank you for being part of the show today. Also remember to join us again, same time tomorrow. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwagwum. Have a good day.